So this is what it looks like to me.
And how can people?
So there's the poll. This is the chat room.
Okay.
And I guess we'll just hope that the words work, right? Are we going to see if we can hear people or not?
Yeah, let's try it. Okay, the black screen just went black. Oh, you look really nice.
And do voiceover?
Do we have the 5 things?
Now let me do that real quick. What are they?
Hi. Let's see. Room. Wonder quest.
That was me.
So what do I do when someone makes a request?
So there's a little.
You, right? Bob. Are you Bob?
I'm Bob.
Okay. And invite as speaker.
Sure.
Okay. Hey Bob, how you doing?
Can you hear me?
No.
Okay.
Oh please, this is making me crazy. I can't hear me and I can't hear you.
You can't hear yourself?
I mean, I don't know. Can you hear me?
Oh. Hello?
So what do I do when someone makes a request?
So there's a little.
You.
I would not do this at all. I would never do this.
I'm
Bob. There's so much lag that
Okay, all right.
just don't even do that.
Invite as speaker.
Sure.
Okay, so hey Bob, how you doing?
Can you hear me?
No.
Okay.
Oh please, this is making me crazy. I can't hear me and I
So
can't
here's
hear
the
you.
chat. I need the chat over here. I don't want to be looking at the chat.
The chat's on your left, right by the screen. And you want to position your picture sort of right under the microphone, under the camera, so that you're looking, when you look at yourself, you're looking at the camera. So kind of scooch that whole window to the right a little bit.
Alex, can you hear me just fine now, or is everything double? How do I know? Alex, can you hear me?
You're not going to hear Alex. She just has to type it.
I know. Can you type in if you can hear me, Alex?
She typed in that she can see and hear just fine.
I know, but then she said there's feedback and I'm hearing everything twice. I'm hearing everything twice. And I can't, she just texted that.
She probably was hearing it because my computer was playing it.
Okay, and I'm not getting the, everything's better now, Alex? This chat is not matching this chat.
Yeah, it is. It's exactly the same. You can just see it a little better over here. It's the same.
Okay, great. Excellent. All right.
Did you get water?
Yep.
Do you have those 5 things?
No, is there a way, what?
Yeah.
We're live now, so is there a way to make more of an entrance, or how should we do this?
All right. Is anybody joining the chat room besides?
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we do something different, or just?
Just let people know we're going to start in 5 minutes. Because we're pro outfit. You told everyone it's your first time.
Alex says she's still hearing double. Hi guys, we're just getting things settled here. April, you're good. I can't see you at all. Very funny. And George, you saying you're having feedback? See if you guys can help us troubleshoot, that would be great. And I can only hear you through the chat. So all good here in the UK. Awesome. Great. So let's see what Alex is saying here. Do you think it's because Alex is the tester that she's hearing double?
I don't know. Is anybody else hearing double? Ask them.
Everyone else is good.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Alex is good now. All right. All systems go. Yeah, we've just got a couple more minutes here. For those of you who are on, I think there should be a poll on your chat screen. If you wanted to take a second and fill that out before we get started, that would be great. Mine will be ahead of the game. Oh, great, George. Excellent. Got everything fixed. Good. Okay. That's right, Seacrest time. Countdown to 12 o'clock. All right. It's 12 o'clock, guys. Hi. How are you all? I'll ask questions and I'll see you typing in. Hi, everyone. Let's see, are we recording this?
Yep, automatically.
Great. Hi, everybody. I'm Tish Hicks, and thank you for joining us for this VO Dojo question and answer webinar called Voiceover, What Do You Want to Know? Let's see. I have been a professional voiceover talent in Los Angeles for about 20 years. If you want to find out more about me, you should go to my website, www.tishhicks.com. Sorry?
Tishix.com/VO.
Tishhicks.com/VO. I'm currently the voice of Subaru. I recently did work on the gameplay videos for Grand Theft Auto 5. Have some animated features that I can tell you about coming out. And for the last 5 years, I've run the VO Dojo, which is a full training center. That takes you from, I don't know, to working pro. So today I wanted to open up the lines to answer some questions. I know that when you're starting out in voiceover, or as you're going along in voiceover, there's always something that you're wondering about, particularly when you're getting started. You know, people tell me I should do it all the time, but what do I do? And it's really hard to break into, right? So wanted this to be a place where we can get some of your answers, questions answered, and to use the time together to understand that a lot of people have the same questions and people are at different places in the process. So, so let's see. I'm off mic, someone says. Can you guys hear me now? Oh, let me see.
What are you looking for?
How's that? I'm turning on my mic like a voiceover professional. Can you guys hear me now? Okay. And Park, the clicking is distracting.
Okay.
In the background. Okay, let's let's see. Let me know how much of any of that you got. Did you hear me at all? Okay. All right. Great. Okay. Hooray. Okay, it looks like we have ignition. Now there's an echo. Okay. Well, then maybe the questions will be technical questions. Let's see. I wonder what would have changed. All right, now there's feedback. Park, any suggestions? Let us figure this out, guys. Okay.
Talk
I was fine before the mic, and you could hear me before the mic.
before the mic. What?
I had the mic muted.
Your mic muted.
Yeah, this was muted.
That was muted?
Yeah.
That shouldn't be muted.
Okay, but now there's feedback.
Okay, cancel.
Okay, there's a hand up. Let's see, we're gonna hand up here. Let's see. Oh, question. Good. We got our first question. Okay. Everything's good? Okay.
You know,
Okay, great. Let's get started. So let's see. So what I'd like to do to begin with is, let's see. I'd love to have everyone to type in where you're listening from. That would be a great start. And then if you have a chance to, while we're doing this, to fill out the poll, that would be really helpful as well. Then I can get a sense of where everyone's at. And I see some questions starting to come in. Excellent. So let's see. Excellent. Okay. Let's see. Well, we've got a few questions here. Let me just check on this poll. Austin, Texas. We've got Los Angeles, UK, San Diego. Awesome. This is great. And let's see. And more Los Angeles. Good, good, good. Yay. This is fantastic. Cool. All right.
okay, I think the problem was that my computer mic was picking up my keyboard and stuff.
Okay, good, good, good. Okay, and is there a way to see the poll, Park? Oh, here we go.
You got 53% people saying.
Okay, I see it. Okay, great, great, great. So it seems like we have a great mix of people calling from all over the place, which is really exciting, and also really an interesting thing about how voiceover works now. It's very much something that is a global thing, and how you work your business can be pretty much from anywhere. So this is good. And it seems like most people are wondering, but 50% tell us should do it, taking some classes. Good, good. A really nice mix here. Very good. Okay, so let's come back here. Hope, I do see you. We've got some great questions here. And let's see, Elaine, hi, Kelsey's mom. Yeah, great to have you here. Okay, so let's get started. We've got some great questions here. And the first thing I think that you need to know about voiceover is that it is something that is not just something, it's something that requires a process, right? So if you look at the questions on the poll, they represent a natural progression. There's a natural progression in the development from going from I don't know to working pro. The first part is wondering, or having an inkling, a spark, I think that's something I would like to do. And then the second part is exploring, is finding out what it is and how it works and what it takes. Then the third part is activating, creating your demo, preparing and producing your demo, right? And then the next part, once you have that, is integrating it into the world. So now you have it, and how do you get it out into the world? And once you start getting in the world, then the last step is not culmination, but rather expansion. So now you're ready. Now your work begins. At the VO Dojo, we take this natural progression and combine it with a martial arts metaphor. So those all become belt levels. Those become ways that you focus your attention on just what you need to do to get through the natural progression. So there's a question of speaking generally about how it works. So you need to kind of have a sense of where you're at, and then understand that each of these steps takes time and energy, and focus, and that everybody is going to have their own journey on this natural progression, this gestation period, right? Depending on who you are and where you're coming from and what you're bringing to the party, how this all clicks together for you will be a little bit different. So let's see. You have to trust that you're going to be on your own journey through this thing, and how long it takes could be relatively quickly, or it could take a little bit longer if you have other things and are able to, are not able to focus on it completely, or you have just other things that you need to bring to the party to get to the place where you're at the level to be a working pro. Does that all make sense to everyone? Let's see. Let me catch up here. And this is my first webinar, so I'm used to actually talking with people. So let me see if we can catch up. So overall, we have about an hour here, and we'll start taking your questions now. Okay,
do you
let's
want to talk about the 5 things first, or do you want to take questions first?
Yeah. So also on the idea of having an overview of what it takes to have a professional voiceover career, I like to talk about there being 5 things, 5 things that you need to have to have your professional voiceover career. And those 5 things are, the first one is making a decision, finding out that this is what you want to do, and making a decision that it is what you're going to do. The second is learning a technique. The third is applying that technique. The fourth is mindset. And the fifth is support. One of the metaphors that I like to use in explaining this to people is, a lot of times people ask, or people tell me all the time, I should do voiceover. What should I do? And it's really hard to break into, right? And I like to turn that question, or reframe that question, and say, what if people said, people tell me all the time I should be a professional boxer. What should I do? And it's really hard to break into, right? So it's a really good thing to keep in mind as you start exploring this process, because you wouldn't. Here's the words.
Some visual aids.
Some visual aids. You wouldn't ever have to have stepped into the ring or put on gloves to know what to tell somebody about becoming a professional boxer, right? So it helps give you a framework of what this is and how it works and what it takes. So let's let that be a little framework for our discussion, and let me check out the questions that are coming in, which seem to be very, very good. So let me click back to me. Everyone have that okay? Everyone have the 5 things you need? And we'll revisit this in a second. Okay, here's me again. Let's go back to the beginning, and okay, so Kathy asks, what's the best way to start in commercial voiceovers if you're on a budget? Well, the first thing that everyone should know is that starting in voiceovers if you're very serious about it, you need to approach it like you're going to be starting a business. At first, as you're exploring, you don't, if you're not sure that you want to start a business, then you can just explore and play and see how it is. But at some point, you need to understand that you are starting a business and that it will require some investment of time, some investment of money, and a lot of investment of energy. So, if you are, that you have a budget for your voiceover career is an excellent thing. I don't think you can expect to do it without investing something in it, just as you would a business. In terms of what is the best way to start working on it is finding the ways to be exploring as many ways as possible. There's lots of resources on the internet. Figuring out how to get into workout groups is a great way to get started. Listening, the things that you can be doing by yourself, listening, just opening your awareness to where voiceover is. Where do you find it? What are you hearing? Where does your voice fit in? Those are all things that you can do. I think the best way to get started is to do something that gives you an overview, and then figure out how to create a daily discipline, or at least a couple of times a week, that this is something that you're focusing in on. Let's see.
I think the question might be like, if you're on a limited budget,
Mm-hmm.
what would we be doing to try to break in? Where should we spend our money to get it?
Okay. So Parker just clarified that if you're on a limited budget, find people that are giving you good, solid training in the beginning. People that are working, people that are understanding markets, and find people who are aspiring, find people who are on the path as well. It's interesting. It's interesting to ask the questions to ask the questions, because there's so many layers to it. I think that that figuring out how to sorry, my brain's going in 1,000 different ways. There's so many layers to this. Best way to start. Get good training. Find the good training wherever you are, and do something every day. I think that's a really good start.
Even if it's on your phone, or
whatever you can do, even if it's on your phone, to be working a little bit every day. Let's see. April asks, how do you go about making a demo? Well, once again, the first thing you need to know is that you don't go about making a demo until you have the skills in place to be making a demo. Just as if you were a boxer, you wouldn't go step into the ring until you were ready with the understanding what the techniques are and how to apply them. So once you have your skills at a place that that you would be ready to make a demo, because once again, we don't want to make a demo until we're ready to enter the marketplace, right? So the first thing you need to do is make sure that you have all your skills in place, and then figure out how to make a demo. So the way I like to approach it with people is to open up their awareness first, and then spend a lot of time just exploring and finding out what what voiceover is, where it is, how it works. Practice, practice, practice. Figure out what's happening inside of you as you're doing it. And while you're doing that, you think of a triangle, right? If you're the point of a triangle and the triangle goes out like this, and this is all of voiceover, the direction of the energy in this part of the game is going out, and you're finding out everything. When you build your skill set to a certain amount of time and you understand what you've got going on and what you're doing, then it's time to focus on your demo, and you turn the energy, turn the arrow back to you. So now you figure out, okay, here's all the parties. Here's what's all, I understand what all parties are happening here, and I have a feeling of being at all of them. Now, what am I bringing to the party? That's what you need to think about. Your demo is figuring out, what are you bringing to the party? And so you focus on what are things that resonate with you. So you want your demo to be a reflection of you and what your voice can do. So you figure out what resonates with you, and then you find, well, there's a couple of things you do. You find a great producer who's producing demos that are of high caliber, that can be getting you into the market that you want to be working at. Really wouldn't recommend doing it yourself. Just in the same way I wouldn't recommend stepping into the boxing ring, training yourself, if that makes any sense. So then you work with you bring all of the things that you find, copy that is a reflection of you, and you put them into a big pile and refine them, so that you get down to a distillation of, these are the pieces that work for you. You can find those in various places. The way that we work at the dojo is finding magazine copy, not to be doing the magazine copy, but to find stuff that resonates with you, that means something to you on whatever level that is. We work with a producer who then takes that and makes it so that it doesn't read like magazine copy, but and then make it into the demo. We also you can also find on internet stuff. Not sure if this is very clear. Let's see. Let's see. So the most important thing about how do you go about making a demo is making sure that you're working at a level that that your skill set is one above what you're putting on your demo. You want to make sure you're not working too soon to produce your demo, because if you're thinking about it like in a gestation period, you wouldn't, if the gestation period of a voiceover beginning from zero, from I don't know to working pro, to have the skills to enter the marketplace is about a year's gestation. You want to plan on about that. For some people it's a little less, for some people it's a little bit more. But just like you wouldn't want your baby born at 6 months, if it's supposed to be gestating at 9 months, you don't want to push making your demo before it's time, because you're not going to be ready to go into the marketplace. Does that make sense? I'm sorry, what?
I was going to say the Audubon thing.
Oh yeah, one of the big metaphors that I use in explaining this to people is breaking into voiceover. You have to be able to get on the freeway going 85 miles an hour with people who have been driving the Audubon for 25 years. So can you do this? Yes, absolutely. People are breaking into voiceover every day. New people are needed. It's part of the flow of the growth of the industry. Can you do it on a scooter? No, you can't. You have to be able to get there. And then how do you want to make sure that your vehicle is ready to get on. Let's see.
Emily has a lot of questions about sort of what are these skills? What are the basic skills before you are going to make that demo? What are you trying to build up?
Oh, okay. That's a great question. So what are you trying to build? What are the skills that you're trying to build up? You need to have a general overview of what voiceover is and how it works. Here at the dojo, we talk about on a very basic level that voiceover is communication, and communication is an exchange of vibrational energy. So we work from a very fundamental way in terms of how do you connect up to a piece of copy with that understanding that you're working from a very organic, real telling of the truth that you share with somebody, and that becomes the exchange. So understanding the foundational philosophical things, understanding how the whole business works. In terms of your skill sets, you need to know how to recognize what a piece of copy is, what genres there are. I think everyone who's on here got a map of paths for cash, right? Let me see if I can put that up.
Just click.
Okay,
It's on your thing. Just click.
just click here. Okay, so let me put this up.
No, it's not on your screen right now. Look right under your face.
Oh, okay. So you guys can see the past.
No, that you need to click on.
Okay.
And it fills your screen.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me get to this. So you guys received this, the voiceover paths to cash. Now this is an overview of everywhere where you can be working in voiceover, where your voice could potentially be making money, right? So in terms of what are the skills you need to know that if any of these you need to be able to recognize any of these pieces of copy and have a good understanding of what to do with them, right? Because just like stepping into the boxing ring, it's not, once you step into the ring, you need to be ready for anything. Each of these things become a specialty, right? These become focuses. I wanted to give you this because I wanted to let you know all of the stuff that's out there. In terms of starting, I really recommend that people start here with their commercial demo.
They can't see what you're doing.
Oh, okay. Start with your commercial demo that gives you sort of a basic foundation of skills that you can do with that you can apply to all the genres. So, so going back to what do you need to learn? You need to be able to recognize what genre something is. You need to be able to know how to approach that genre. You need to know how to analyze a piece of copy from top to bottom and know what every piece of information on that piece of copy that every piece of information on that piece of copy serves to inform you in terms of how it wants to be done. I like to talk of a piece of copy being like a piece of sheet music, that it is the way that in the way that a sheet music is the way that a composer communicates to a musician how they would like their music to be played. And when we have a piece of sheet music, we have layers and layers of information that allow us to hone in on what that intention was. A piece of copy is the same thing. So to be able to read from top to bottom what the intention of the copywriter is, and be able to bring that to life, to understand what energy is required, how the logic is structured, and how to bring your skills to it, if that makes sense. At the dojo, we talk about a braid of analysis. We have 3 tools in approaching a piece of copy. The first one is connection. The second one is logic. And the third one is energy. So to know what those three tools are and how to bring them, that's a layer that you need to know. You need to be able to deliver all of these skills within 1 or 2 takes consistently. And under any situations, you need to know how to handle yourself. Does that make sense? Let's see. Let's see. I'm feeling like I've got, okay, there's Emily's question. Okay. And we answered there. Good, good, good.
Alexander's asked a couple times about going from multilingual to the English market.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Well, I think one of the key things to that is being able to have both an understanding. Let's see. Let me get a little. I work in voiceover. So, in terms of, so Alexandra's talking about, okay, just to put in context, we've been answering some, like, how do you get started questions, right? And now Alexandra is someone who is working in markets and is looking to expand into other markets, right? So if there's this progression, a lot of the questions we've been doing here are at white belt level of just becoming aware of how it works. And Alexandra is asking a black belt level question of how do you take what you have working and expand it? I think that a lot of the foundations that we're talking about apply to how do you expand. I don't have a lot of experience in the international markets yet. I have worked with a bunch of people who are from Argentina, where there's an amazing training program where you spend 3 years. You spend 3 years to get a certificate, and you don't work professionally unless you have the certificate. So in terms of how do you take the work that you're doing in international markets, make sure that your English is competitive, right? So that there's nothing that's making my ear go, oh, that's not an English speaking competitive voice. That takes me somewhere else. I think that there's a lot to understand about working in any culture is understanding what the energy of that particular language is. I know I book a lot of stuff that is British, even though I'm totally from Chicago. And I've had a discussion with somebody who runs auditions, saying that oftentimes British people don't book because they have a different energy than the American market. So if you listen to BBC America and BBC, you can kind of see what that different style is. So making sure that you understand what the energy and the culture is and can fit into that. And then really just presenting yourself in the English market as somebody who has multifaceted things to bring to the party, right? So if you go to an agency and say, I can do this, and I can do this, this, and this, for whatever you need, I think that is a great way to approach it. Not thinking of it as something separate, but thinking of it in the same way as you need to bring your skill set to a level that you're competitive in all of those ranges. That makes sense? Hopefully that is helpful. Let's see, what else have we got here? Let's see. George asks, what do you think of the pay to play? What do you think of the pay to play marketplaces? What if you're not in a major market? Now, this is a real, I'm sorry, what?
Sorry, go ahead.
This is a really good question. And the first layer of the answering the question is, what is a pay to play? What is a pay to pay marketplace? I'll tell a quick story about how things have changed. 20 years ago, when I moved to LA from Chicago, there was a different paradigm of how the business worked. It still exists, but now there's another paradigm that exists with it. So when I was coming up, you built your skills up, you built your relationships, you got to a certain point, and what you were working towards was being part of a major agency in a major market. And the reason for that was because that was the only place that the copy came, right? The high-level copy and the high-level jobs, and in fact, much of the regional work also came to the agencies, from the advertising agencies to the talent agencies in the major markets, LA, New York, kind of Chicago, even though I think Chicago also has a regional market to it. It's a big regional market. And so when I started, you got to here, and that's all you had to worry about. And we didn't have to worry about knowing anything technical, because we went to our agency and we were recorded by an engineer, and we didn't need to know anything about equipment. We didn't need to know anything about editing. We didn't need to know anything about what happened after we talked. And so there was a certain amount of people doing this certain amount of work, and that was who was in contact with it. About 7 years ago, 8 years ago, a little thing called voicebank.net started happening. And all of the copy was now available online. Voicebank.net is a great tool for you to explore if you don't know anything about this. It's basically an internet site that has a listing of all of the agencies, definitely in North America, and I think internationally as well. So you can get an overview of the world market. You can hear all of the voices on all of those agencies' rosters, right? These are professionally working voice actors around the world. I usually like to guide people gently through that process, because to open up all of the voices in all of the world all at once when you're just starting is really overwhelming. So, so explore, play, just freaked out. So the paradigm shifted as the copy became available in different ways, right? And so now the voiceover or the advertising agents put the copy here, and the agents come to here to get it. And so now all of the agents from wherever they are have access to the same copy, right? So now there's a shift in how things work, and you can have representation in lots of different regional markets. And in fact, it's sort of the way that you have to approach it now. It's not just one little way that you get in the game. I encourage people to, from the beginning, to understand that that this, while it's shifting, is still where you want to be at, and you want to be working here. So what happens in this market? There's regional agents, and then there's what George is asking about: pay-to-play sites, voiceover service providers. So there are places where, as you're coming up, you can be building relationships with clients directly through these things that are called subscription sites. Voices.com is one. Voices 1, 2, 3. Those are two of the biggest ones. And basically you pay a subscription. You pay for the subscription for a year, and then you have access to casting, and you get auditions every day. And you start submitting auditions. And so basically you're running your own voiceover business. George, I like to create a meta. One of the metaphors that I like to use about pay to play, just to understand it and how it works, is the difference between having a broker and being a day trader. You can make money doing both, but when you're doing the day trading, you need to be doing every transaction yourself. You need to be looking at the trends yourself. You need to be making sure that you're up when those markets are up, so you're making the transactions. And when you get to this place where you're working with representation, either regional or in major markets, then you have a team of people who are helping you handle that. You still do the work, you still go out on the auditions, you still do the sessions, but there's a team of people to help guide you and direct you, if that makes sense. So what do I think of them? I think that as someone starting out now, it's a powerful, powerful tool, a place where you can practice, a place where you can get experience, a place where you can start approaching this as a business from the very beginning, and use it as a segue to get wherever you want, or use it as a place where you are content and you have the life that you want, and you can, that if that's the level that you want your voiceover to be a part of your life, it's a way to go. And I think if you're non-union and not in a major market, it can be very helpful. I think you have to use it diligently. Think you have to learn how to do it carefully, so you're not expending too much energy and not getting anything back. And I think I said the word diligently, right? Folks I know who make that work successfully do it because they're extremely diligent. It's just boom, 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 on it, on it, on it. So I think I like to encourage people to think about, how are you doing both? And the interesting thing that's happening now is people who came up like I did have to be looking at the world in a new way, because this is not the only thing that exists anymore, right? So hopefully that's helpful. It gives a little insight. And for everybody who's on this, understand that is sort of a brown belt. If brown belt is integration, now you have your demo. What do you do with it? How do you get out in the world? That's a brown belt, black belt question, right? So really, that's not something you have to worry about until you have this, until you've done your exploring and you've built your skills, and then you create your demo, and then you have something to start bringing out into the world. Does that make sense? Just to put it in perspective. Let's see.
We're getting about 15 minutes away from the end. I know you're going to want to answer some more questions, but it might be a good time to talk a little bit more about the dojo and things that are.
Yeah. Let me see. Let's see. Okay, let me see if I can grab some of these questions, and then I do want to take a second and well, actually, you know what?
We have a couple questions about setting up a home studio. You want to address
Oh yeah, let's talk about home studio, and then we'll talk a little bit about. I mean, basically everything we've talked about is how the dojo works. So, a couple questions about home studio. As I just said, how it was and how it is now is really different. That being said, there's ways that in order to be competitive in the marketplace, at some point, you need to have either a home setup that is broadcast quality or access to a studio that is broadcast quality. When you're starting out, you want to think about it in 3 layers. At first, you just need to have what you need to practice. This is a recorded take-based medium. So it's really important that we're not just talking, that we're not just experiencing it without being recorded. So it's very important in your process that you have the experience of speaking it and listening back in the recorded medium, because that's how it's received, right? And you need to get comfortable with that. In order to do that, all you really need to practice is like your iPhone, or there's a great little podcast microphone that fits on top of your computer. To start out, it doesn't need to be fancy. And in fact, technology is getting so advanced that there's ways that you can be doing stuff on your phone that is getting closer to broadcast quality, or is broadcast quality. But you want to think about it in 3 stages: practice, audition, and broadcast, right? You know, to be able to being used. Let's see, the best way to set up a home studio. I'm transitioning to working from home more and more. So you need to know what the fundamental things are that you need. You need a setup that, you know, as you're transitioning from practice to audition, you want to create some place that is the place that you go, and is allows you to work in the way that you will be working when you're in a session, ideally. So whether that's something you transform, you know, having a space that you can create, or something that's a dedicated space of whatever caliber of soundproofing, right? Let's see, I'm trying to, these things are so complex. I'm trying to distill them really, really quickly, make sure I'm answering the questions. So,
Well, maybe just a really practical standpoint, talk about what you have set up.
yeah, I mean, for instance, I have what I call a dedicated closet. It has not a super high-end mic, maybe a $400 or $500 mic, an AT4040. I'm working with a Duet Apogee interface, and some basic soundproofing of curtains, and some acoustic tiles. So let's see. Trying to figure out transitions. Yeah, I mean, the basic things, the questions that you need to ask are, what is my budget, first of all, and get the best equipment that you can in your budget. One of the things that you need to know when you're starting out and as you're going along is, if you don't need a Ferrari to go to the grocery store, you don't have to buy one. And the more expensive the mic, the more soundproofing, the more delicate the mic, the more advanced the mic is, the more advanced your soundproofing needs to be. So if you're working in a situation where your ability to soundproof, your budget for soundproofing does not fit what would accommodate the mic, then it doesn't serve you, right? So find the best that you can get, and then keep on upgrading as you start making money in voiceover. Then invest in better equipment. So the things are the microphone and finding one that suits your voice, and then figuring out what is going on in your space. So test the space, see where things sound best, and figuring out how you can shift that, right? If I'm not speaking very clearly, so finding out that soundproofing. Let's see.
They may not know what that means, like to cut down flat surfaces so there's no echo.
Right. Yes, what you want to do is make sure that the sound is not having anything that is reflecting off of other things, so that the sound is just your voice going in.
You could even talk about using a towel.
yeah, the home studio thing is a it's an essential part of getting things set up, and I want to make sure that we that I distill it that I distill it in a way that questions are getting answered. I want to make sure. Yeah. Okay. So let me just check the questions here and see that I'm answering. Okay, let me see if I can get a couple of these other questions answered. Let's see. Let me go through here. My best advice about getting your home studio set up is to do a lot of exploring. There's a guy named George Whittam who has a broadcast called East West Audio Body Shop. He works with a guy named Dan Leonard. And they have massive amounts of technical information that they present regularly with their podcasts. So there's lots of stuff that you can start exploring. What you want to do is center yourself to understand that you just need something to start. Usually that's just a basic USB mic that plugs into your equipment. Some sort of thing that either goes around the microphone or around you to make it sound to absorb the sound a little bit, and so that the quality of what you're recording is an accurate reflection of your voice and not distracting, right? So there's of a certain quality to submit for auditions. I highly recommend, as you're coming up, to start connecting with people who are really technically minded. There's a guy named Juan Carlos Bagnell, some audio guy, is a brilliant guy. If you're in LA, here comes. And George or Juan, come to your place. So my advice is to explore and then get help. As someone who came up in the old paradigm, I still ask for help. I still ask for a lot of help around these issues. Yeah, find out what you can. Understand that there's really basic things that you need, and then ask people who are really in the know about it, and ask them to explain it to you very simply, because it can get really complex. So let's see. Okay.
I think it would be probably appropriate to talk a little bit more about the dojo.
Yeah.
What you guys are doing.
Yeah. So let's take a little bit of time. I wanted to tell you a little bit about what's going on at the dojo. As you can see from this just little bit of time that we've spent together, there's lots of questions, and hopefully we've gotten some of them answered. But it's this whole thing is not something that you can it's something that has layers and layers to it. Not that the layers can't be explored, but it's helpful to have them laid out in such a way that you can easily, clearly understand, oh, this is what's happening here, and this is what I'm exploring. This is what I need to do now, and this is what I need to do now, and this is what I need to do now. So in terms of the dojo, that's sort of how we break it down. We have 4 different programs that work together, that work to integrate you through this whole process. The first level is called You Should Do Voiceover. And it's probably for a lot of you that are on here that like, what is this? How does it work? How do you fit all this together? So the intensive is designed to give you a complete overview and a little taste of everywhere, like that map that you have now. We explore all of those areas and give you skill sets so that you understand how it works and how this all fits together.
I put the website up.
Yeah, let me just click on this little overview of the website. Now we have two versions of this. One is a virtual class that's coming up starting July 13th. That's going to be a 6-week version of the class that we'll be doing online. And we'll cover all the materials that we do in the live one. And if you're in LA, there's a live one coming up at the end of August 29th and 30th. So for those of you who are at this place, this is a great place to start. And then how the dojo progresses is after this, you should have an answer of if you should do voiceover or not. If it's something that you go, oh my God, yes, I should. Or if you get you get enough information, you get a big, fuller understanding of how it works and what it is. You can go like, wow, no, that wasn't what I thought it would be at all. I don't think I should.
After the intensive, not
right.
after this Q&A.
No, after this Q&A, there's still there. I would imagine after this Q&A, there's a lot of other questions that can be put into that the You Should Do voiceover would put fully into context and take you along the journey. In terms of what's happening at the dojo, if the intensive sparks you, we have a full training program called From Mystery to Mastery that guides you through all of those belt levels that we talked about.
To get you to a demo.
It takes you through the exploration. It takes you through the demo making process. It takes you through the integration and into the expansion and culmination. So it guides you all the way through. We have a working pro program called the Nth Degree. It's for people who have come through the program and want to continue with the support of the collaborative efforts of the dojo and just have a place to keep in fighting trim. It's for working pros who are out there and want to have a place to keep in trim. Or if you've been out there and your mojo's going down or you aren't making these transitions from the different paradigms, the Nth Degree is a great place to refocus, recalibrate, reconnect, and move forward to the next place. So Alexandra, that might be a place where that would be of interest for you. And then the last element of the dojo is the Dojo Pro Fight Club, which is a working pro workout that brings together top-notch talent from a cross-section of agencies and the decision makers who hire us. So it's absolutely high caliber workout that turns the audition process transparent and connects everybody at a very high level. Now, if you're in the Mystery to Mastery program, you have access to that program as you're coming up. So you're always watching, and as you continue, you move into it. So those are sort of the overview of the whole program here. Sorry. So that's an overview of the whole program here. Wherever you are with any of your questions here, there's probably some place that the dojo can be helpful in finding even more answers. I mean, we've just scratched the surface. Mostly what I want you to come away with here today is understanding that there are these various levels and each requires a lot of focus, and one doesn't really come until the other is there, right? And what I like to do is allow people to focus their energy, keep on taking one step, one step, one step, one step. When you're doing this alone, it's really easy to go one step, what, and then have to come back. And so the idea of the dojo is something that focuses all your energies and intentions, brings you together with a group of people who are all working together. It's one truth I don't know that we really touched on. When this paradigm shifted, there was something that really shifted. Voiceover is a very solitary pursuit. It's you in the booth. Sometimes there's a director. Now more than ever, there's no one. It's just you in a booth in your closet. So the skills you have to have are very self-generated. What I find that's a little contradictory is that the heart of voiceover is about connecting, is about being able to open yourself up in such a way that you connect through your voice and affect somebody else. So it's very contrary to being a solitary pursuit, even though you're alone in your closet. So what the dojo does is bring you together to a collaborative effort at every step of the way.
You want to throw up that offer?
Yeah. So we're just at 1:00, and I want to share with you guys a little offer that I have for anyone who's interested, who's on this call. And then if you guys have a few more questions, I'm willing to stay on for another few minutes. But let me tell you about what's coming up and how, if you're interested, what's available, and would love to have you step in. So can you put up the?
You might need to click on your end the pop-up.
Okay, what is the pop-up? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Great. Okay. So as I said, there's two things coming up. The virtual You Should Do voiceover is coming up on June 13th. I'm sorry, it's July 13th. July 13th, one of those J months. We're starting in a little bit. It'll be 6 Mondays. And if you are interested in this, and if you're on the call today, you can go to the website and use the code QA100, and it'll give you $100 off the program. The full price is $497, and you would be able to do it for $397. This also is if you're in LA and want to do the August 29th and 30th, same offer applies. So let's see, is that?
Let me throw the other on.
Then here's the other one. It's the same thing, but basically using the code QA100. If you're interested, would love to have you in there. If you have other questions that didn't quite get answered, or you want to have a little bit more one-on-one time, if you wanted to go to the website and sign up for a 15-minute, I call it a voiceover once-over call, just allows us to get to know each other a little bit more. You've got a little bit of sense of how I'm working here, and then it allows us to just work a little bit more one-on-one. Would love to talk to each and every one of you in that context as well, if that's of interest. Any questions about these offerings? The Nth Degree is also continuing through the summer, and if you're a working pro that has a demo representation and is booking and have interest in the fight clubs, would love to talk with you about that as well. Let me see. Here's let me go back to the chat and see what's going on. Yes, for those of you who need to go, thank you all so much for being here. Give me a call or sign up for a voiceover once-over call if you want to talk some more. Email me, Tish at the VO Dojo, if you have any further questions about anything we talked about here or anything in general. And if you have a few more minutes, I'm happy to answer just a few more questions if anyone has anything else that they'd like to talk about. Does anyone have any questions about the next classes and the offer? Is there anything specifically about that? Oh, Hope, I see. Being in LA, you can do either one. depending on what your time frame is, I think there's benefits in both. You know, if you know what kind of person you are, if you work well online and virtually, um, um, you know, that's a great thing. We can get started right away. The in-person thing is good. It's called the intensive because we cover a lot of material in 48 hours. So there's a real experience of downloading, of receiving a lot of material that happens quite um, in a distilled, in a powerful distilled way that is happening as you speak. So that is a powerful experience unto itself. The virtual is going to allow the material to unfold in a more expanded way. So you'll be getting this amount of material and have a week in between to absorb it. So you know how you work. If you're in LA, I'd say come to the live one. But if you're raring to go, or you work, or you have a schedule that doesn't allow your weekends, a weekend is really hard if you have kids or something like that, then you're totally welcome to jump on the virtual. I think I just answered your question. Yeah. Anyone have any other questions, not about classes or anything that we talked about? Oh, here's what I would love to do. Usually we end our process at the dojo by doing what I call, sharing what I call the dojo O. So if there's anything, whatever it was that on this call made you go, oh, and figuring out how to say that in the most succinct way possible. So I'm trying to think of what a good O might be. There's many layers to voiceover, and it takes a while to get through them. Might be an O. Voiceover isn't what it used to be, and you have to know what's going on. Might be another O. Any other questions? I have to say it's really being used to exchanging energy with people. Just being able to see what you're asking is a little bit of a shift for me. So, yeah, is anyone still on? I don't think I see any more questions. Okay, well, let's wrap this up. If you're interested in staying connected with the dojo, please join the Facebook group. There's a Facebook page, the VO Dojo. You can follow us on Twitter, the VO Dojo. And as I said, I'm happy to answer any further questions that you have. You can email me at tish@thevodojo.com. Let's see. Oh my gosh, Hope, you have asked an amazing question that I will take. I will take on. Hope asked, "Is being a singer a hindrance?" And no, absolutely not. In fact, I found myself quite adamantly saying the other day, a little bit to my surprise, how adamantly that anybody who is a singer and not doing voiceover is retarded, which is way, way harsh and really, really not how to approach it. But here's the thing of it. I'm a trained opera singer. And although I never pursued it, I never went into being an opera singer. But oftentimes I was like, what? Why are you doing this? Why are you spending all this money on voice, on voice lessons? And you continue, even though you're not doing it. And I realized that became the foundation of why I'm so good at what I do and why this comes so easily to me. Because when you understand your vocal instrument, It's just applying what you know. And this goes for everybody, guys. This goes for acting. This goes for singing. This goes for painting. I've had firefighters come through this program. I've had retired Army colonels go through this program. This goes for whatever expertise you have in your life. You just need to figure out how to apply it to this medium. And that's what we're doing. And as a singer, you have so many skill sets that are completely applicable. You have such a strong relationship to understanding your vocal mechanism and how it works and what it can do and your relationship with it. You have a relationship with your discipline of how to approach it. So absolutely, no, singing is not a hindrance at all. Nor is stage acting, nor is any kind of acting. I find that often stage actors have a moment of transition from just figuring out the scale of it and figuring out that what we are most interested in when you're doing voiceover is really you, is hearing your voice. So a lot of times, experienced stage actors are so used to, and their muscles are so developed in being someone else and figuring out how to be someone else, that there's often an uncomfortable stage of like, oh, like just me? Okay. But that's so boring. So just finding that way to trust your voice and know that that's enough, and then how to apply it to this medium. So
we can end the web broadcast, but you can stay in the chat room and answer any other questions.
okay, so we're going to end the broadcast, and I'll spend let's spend 5 more minutes if there's any other questions. It looks like people are really good. So thank you guys once again. And I look forward to getting to talk with all of you very soon. Okay, thanks. Take care.